everybody, my name is Tina and I want to welcome you to our first tutorial for the Havana Crochet Along. In this tutorial I want to show you the basic technique to work Mosaic Crochet, which is really quite simple, and the best part about it really is that it looks quite complicated, like you can see here, but really it's very simple. The only stitches you need to know are the chain stitch, the slip stitch, single crochet and double crochet. Another thing I like about this technique is that you only work it with one color at a time. So you never have to carry two colors, which is great. So, and you always work it, when you're working it flat, you always work it from the right side. So you're always crocheting from right to left, and at the end of the row you have to cut the yarn. Don't worry about all the ends, because in the Havana Afghan we have a double border, like you can see here. So all the ends go in there, so no worries about the ends. This technique makes it so that you only see this pattern on the front side, and on the back side it's simply striped, which is quite nice also. I really like this technique and I've been working quite a lot with it for the last 3 years or so. And I wanted to show you just some examples of what you can do. You can also work this technique in the rounds, which will be another tutorial, to making purses like this, for example, and the smaller ones. And the good thing is that when you work it in the round, then you don't have to break the yarn. You can just carry it in the next round. Other example of working it in the round, this is the same pattern really from the Mosaic purse, but with another design. Here I'm making a handbag, and you can really just draw up any pattern you want and crochet it. It's really quite simple. It's lovely, and I've done a lot of classes in this technique and it's so simple, everybody can do it. Another example here is when you work it in the circle, you can do squares and join them together as a blanket. This is my Havana Afghan here, which is just a work in progress. I finished the baby version, which is here. I'm quite happy with it, and as you can see on the back side it's all striped. Okay, so let's get started and take out your hooks. Okay, so now that we have our yarn and hook out, we can start. This pattern has a repetition of 12 stitches, so you will need to do your foundation stitches, a multiplication of 12, and add 3 stitches to that. Okay, I'm going to do 2 repetitions, so I have 24 plus 3. And this is the only round, the first round, where we don't break the yarn and we just crochet right back. So you can insert your hook into the second chain from the hook and do single crochet stitches all the way. Like so. So the reason why I have here 26 stitches. So it's 2 times 12 and then 2 extra stitches. And the reason for that is that we don't want to work the mosaic pattern in the first and the last stitch, just so we get the border nicer and tighter. So it's 2 times 12 and then we have 2 extra stitches, one in the beginning and one at the end. Okay, so now we have the first round of single crochet, and then we just need to cut the yarn, and I like to do 1 chain at the end and pull the yarn completely through, like so, and pull it nice and tight. This chain stitch here at the end does not count as a stitch really, because we won't be working into it. It's just to get a nicer, tighter end here. Okay, so before we continue and work the second row, I want to show you how the charts work. I always like to use visuals. So this is the chart here for pattern 1 of the Havana Afghan, but all the charts in all my patterns are the same. So generally in the grids, each box represents one stitch, except for the first and the last columns. In the first column you can see which row we are on, and in the last column you can see which color we are using, A or B. It's fairly simple. So when the box is empty, then you work your single crochet stitch, and if there is an X in the box, then you work a double crochet stitch. Then I have a symbol here for the border stitch at the beginning of the round, which is always the first stitch of the round, and then the border stitch at the end of the round, so you can see here. And here you can see the repeated part. These are 12 stitches, but I always like to draw it up with a second one so you see how it continues. Let's get started with the second row and work it according to the chart. So now we use color B, and you can also see the color we're using here at the beginning. I always color in the patterns, but remember that each row is only worked with one color. So all the round 2 is worked with color B. Don't think about if it's white here or blue here, it doesn't matter. So now we work first the border stitch at the beginning of the round, and this is always the same at the beginning of each round. We have here 2 times 12 stitches for the repeats, and then we have 2 extra stitches, one at the end and one at the beginning, and we don't work our mosaic patterns into those. We just work always the border stitches there to get the border to be neater. And in the mosaic crochet technique, you're always working all your single crochet stitches in the back loop of each stitch. The border stitch, not being part of the mosaic crochet technique, we're going to work into both loops of the stitch. So you just insert your needle into both loops of the first stitch of the round, pull your yarn through, just leave a bit of a tail, work 1 chain stitch, and into the same stitch work into both loops of the stitch a single crochet. So this is the border stitch at the beginning of the round, always the same, 1 chain stitch and 1 single crochet stitch into both loops of the first stitch. And now if we look at the pattern, at the chart, then we can see that the second round is all blank boxes. You see there are no X's. So we just work single crochet all the way through. And always remember that in the mosaic crochet techniques, all the single crochet stitches are worked into the back loop of the stitches. Now I've finished with this last one, 24 single crochet stitches, 2 times 12, and then I get to the border stitch at the end of the round, and then again, this is always the same, you always end the same, and again we're going to work into both loops of the stitch, insert your needle, work 1 single crochet into both loops, and then cut your yarn and just work 1 chain and pull it all the way through. And again, like in the first round, we just want to tighten this chain very nice and tight here, so it's very little. And remember, we do not work into this chain stitch here, it's just to get the end neater. So now we've finished the second row. Okay, now we continue and go to the third row. Like you've seen now, we're always working from right to left, and we cut the yarn at the end of the row and start again at the beginning here at the right. So third row, you can see here that we're using color A again, although it's always just stripes, just to A, B, A, B, A, B. And again, remember, do not look at the colors here in the row, just if there is an X or no X in the box. So row 3 starts with border stitch at the beginning of the round, like every other round. And we work this bit like before, insert your needle into both loops of the first stitch, pull it through, chain 1 and 1 single crochet. And now we have to look at the chart, and now we see here that in the first stitch of round 3 we have an X. That means that we work a double crochet there. And just the same as we always work our single crochets in the back loop of each stitch, we work all our double crochets in the front loop of the stitch one round down. So I'm not going to be working into the stitches from round 2, but from round 1, this one here. And this is actually why we always work the single crochet stitches in the back loop, so that we're leaving the front loop for our double crochets, stitches that come later. So you just yarn over like usual. You find the stitch that you would usually go into and just go one down and find this front loop here. I like to insert it from below. You can also do it from upwards and down. So now you yarn over, pull your yarn through, and just work a normal crochet, double crochet here. You have three strands on the hook, yarn over, go through 2, and yarn over and go through the second 2. And now if we count here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stitches that are all single crochet. And then again we work into the normal last round and work 11 single crochet stitches. Always when the box is empty, you work your single crochet. 10 and 11. And now you see that the next stitch is again a double crochet. And so let's show that again. We yarn over, we mark which is the stitch that we would normally go into, and just follow it and go one round down and up and under the front loop of the corresponding stitch, one round below, and work a normal double crochet stitch into that. And then we continue and work 11 single crochet stitches. You want to take care of not working your single crochet stitches into the stitch that is behind your double crochet, because if you're working your double crochet down one round, you can't work into the stitch that is corresponding in the last round here. As you see, you have to skip this stitch here so that we're not increasing, because if you would work it in one round down and then in also this one, you would be increasing. We don't want to be increasing, but no. And then we do 11 single crochet, and then we end with the I'm missing some stitches here. Apparently I didn't do my math good, but it doesn't matter because I'm showing you technique. And then we end with the border stitch at the end of the round. Again, we want to work then into both loops, and just one single crochet there, cut the yarn and pull it through like so. So now you can see we've started working our double crochet stitches, and this is all the technique we're going to use. I'm going to repeat it a couple more times, but as you can see, it's really very, very simple. Okay, now we continue and work round 4, and if we read here, we can see we have the blue, so it's color B again, which I'm using green here, and here we have the border stitch at the beginning of the round. Then we have one empty box, which means one single crochet, and then we have one X, so there's a double crochet. So let's start. Border stitch, as always, into both loops. Always start the same and end the same. Pull through, one chain, one single crochet. And I like to do it like this extra chain. Like you see, I never work into this extra chain. I'm just doing it as a helping tool, so that I can then work into my single crochet here, which is way nicer. I don't like working into chains. So we did the border stitch, then we do one single crochet and one double crochet. The single crochet always goes into the back loop of the stitch, and then we work our double crochet, yarn over, find where the next stitch is in the last round, and then just go one round down. Go up and under like that. Yarn through and just work a normal double crochet there. Take care to leave the stitch here behind. We don't want to increase. And then we continue and work 11 single crochets. And then there's another double crochet, and just one row down into the front loop and work your normal double crochet here. Again, I'm so sorry that I miscounted, but I'm not going to do it all again just so we get the right stitch count here in the end, because it really doesn't matter. We're just learning the technique. But you could imagine now that I'm working 10 single crochets. And then we get to the end, and there's again the border stitch at the end of the round. Always the same, into both loops, one single crochet, cut the yarn, and one chain stitch. And we continue and take back color A, go to the 5th round, and as you can see now we're getting some pattern going here. We're seeing how it works. So at the border stitch at the beginning of the round, remember we're not going to work into the chain, that's just to help us. So we work into the first proper stitch we have, which is the first single crochet of the round. Always into back both loops of the border stitch, so that the border is neater. And now in the 5th round we see border stitch, then we have 2 empty boxes, so it's 2 single crochets, and then comes 1 double crochet. So now I'm gonna go 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and then I work my double crochet stitch, which is down 1 round into the front loop that we left before. And again we now have 11 stitches in between. So this is really a very simple pattern. This is the most simple you can do really in the Mosaic crochet techniques, and it's really just the stitch for the Apache tears, which is the most beautiful stitch really, and how I learned this technique, so I wanted to start my Havana Afghan with that. And now I've worked my 11 single crochets, and then again I work the double crochet 1 round down. Like so. Remember not to go into the stitch behind, so we're not increasing, and then you finish the single crochets until you get to the last stitch, which is the border stitch at the end of the round. Always the same, into both loops, 1 single crochet, cut the yarn, and pull through. So now you can see that there's a pattern forming. You get like these stairs kind of. So this first part of Havana is very simple, and it's a great way to practice the technique. And you just continue, and as you see you're always moving the double crochet 1 further, like so, and just continue. I also wanted to show you how you will continue just for fun. Here's pattern 2, and you just read it exactly the same as we've been doing. You start with the border stitch at the beginning of the round, and then just look at, is there an X in the box or is the box empty? That's all you have to think about. Don't think about the colors. That's just for you to see how the pattern is supposed to look. But you remember that here you can see what color you're using. Here's the letters. and here's the color that you're using. I show it here always in the beginning in the border stitch. So here we're using A again, and then you start border stitch at the beginning of a round, 1 double crochet, 11 single crochets, 1 double crochet, 11 single crochets, and then you end with a border stitch at the end of the round. The second round the same, 1 border stitch, here's 1 empty box, so there you start with a single crochet, then you go for 1 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 single crochets, double crochet, and again we repeat 1 single crochet, 1 double crochet, 7 singles, 9 single crochet, sorry, and then 1 double crochet at the end, and you end with a border stitch. So it's really just terribly simple, as you can see. So this is all there is to it, really. It's really so simple, like I said before. Maybe you didn't believe me before, but I hope now you do, because it's all just a question of, it's just the double crochets and the single crochets. The only thing that you have to get a hang of is working the double crochets down 1 round. And at the first, you can be a bit clumsy at it, but after a few rounds, then you totally, you get the nice flow to it. And the only thing that you're using to make up all these wonderful patterns is just that where you situate your double crochet stitches, really. And that's how you make up new patterns and can write up even your own patterns like this and just play with it. I love working with this. It's so terribly simple, like I said, and such great fun. So like I said, it really is quite simple, as you can see. I hope this little video answered all your questions, and now we can all get cracking for the big crochet along, which I'm so excited about. So thanks a lot. I'll see you soon. Ciao.